someone says you are too much, you laugh lightly. Yeah, maybe. Your fingers go to your sleeve. You nod, even though something in you just went still. Later, you replay that sentence in the shower, like you are the one who needs adjusting. You are not struggling because you are too much. You are struggling because you were taught to treat tenderness like a flaw. Let's get precise. There are women who learned early to become self-led, composed, capable. Not because they were naturally unreachable, because life required too much from them too soon. So they adapted. They learned how to keep moving, not need much, carry themselves, not wait to be met. And then later, when other people felt the impact of that adaptation, they named it as your problem. You are too independent. You are hard to get close to. Lower your standards. You are too much. That's the part most people miss. Those statements are not always truth. Sometimes they are discomfort collapsed into control, not curiosity, not relational capacity, control. And if you were used to take things personally, these sentences did what they were built to do. They froze you. You stared at the person speaking. You paused before answering something simple. You felt your posture shrink slightly. And then you went home and made their limitation mean something about you. That is how management enters the body. Not loudly, structurally. You stop asking, can this person meet me? And start asking, what do I need to change so this lands better? That is self-abandonment in a language of adjustment. This is identity adaptation under relational pressure. Your nervous system learned that being fully yourself might cause connection. So it built a structure. Be capable, be self-contained, be prepared, need less, say less, carry more. And here's the distortion. People later respond to that adaptation, then shame you for the very structure life made necessary. That's not discernment. That's projection. From a Jungian lens, this is what happens when other people cannot tolerate their own dependency, fear, or limits. Instead of owning their capacity edge, they place it onto you. You are too independent. But that deeper mechanism inside you is different. You don't just hear the sentence. You absorb it. You mentally argue both sides. You replay the exact tone. You scan for what it must mean. And under all of that is an older ache. Why did I have to become this way at all? That is the deeper layer, not outrage, grief. Because some part of your human experience will always be tender. Not because you're not healed, because you had a real life. And some adaptations were built in weather No child, no woman, no human should have had to self-source alone. This is not punishment, it is revelation. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Are you trying to prove that you were never too much? Or are you finally willing to grieve the version of you that never got to exist? Inside the infinity method Unbraced, this is where strength stops being a prison and becomes something you can wear without living inside it. Here's the shift. You stop organizing your life around correcting old misreadings. Not, I will show them I'm not too much. Not, they just couldn't handle me. Neither is clean. The issue is not proving them wrong. The issue is no longer carrying their language inside your body as identity. That means when someone tries to manage you now, you don't rush to explain yourself. You don't trail off mid-sentence. You do not soften your clarity into something easier to digest. You notice. You read capacity. You adjust investment. This is where it shifts. Not emotionally, structurally. You begin to say, that may be how you experience me. And then you stop. No courtroom, no defense speech. No self-shrinking. Because sovereignty is not winning the interpretation. It is returning ownership. Their capacity is theirs. Your way of being is yours. The interaction is real. But you no longer make their language your identity. And there is another layer. You stop trying to heal tenderness by eliminating it. You stop treating every soft spot like unfinished business. You stop making your humanity a project. Some parts of your human experience will always be tender, and that tenderness does not weaken your authority. It keeps you real. The deepest courage is not always descending further. Sometimes it is rising to the surface and not preparing for the next storm. This became very clear for me in a small moment. I looked at my watch. Heavy still. Diver's watch. The kind built for pressure. And I felt how familiar that was in my body. Useful. Reliable. Ready. Then the thought came in. You always have to be prepared. That landed harder than I wanted to. Because underneath, it was something older. If I'm not ready, no one is coming. I felt my throat tighten. My hand stayed on the watch a second too long. And I saw it. Not dramatically. Cleanly. I have spent years knowing how to descend. How to hold pressure. How to keep moving. How to stay composed. That strength is real. But then another truth came in. You do not need to keep proving your durability every hour of every day. I said it out loud. I am not in danger right now. And immediately another thought then why are you still bracing? That was the moment. Not collapse, not breakthrough theater awareness. I took the watch off, set it down, not because the watch was the problem, because I didn't need the symbol of readiness on my body in that moment. I didn't need armor, I needed contact. The contradiction was right there. I trust my strength, and I am tired of living as if pressure is always coming. The emotional shift was quiet. Relief first, then grief. Not for what happened, for the versions of me that never got to exist. The one who was met easily, the one who didn't have to self-source everything so early. I didn't fix that grief. I didn't spiritualize it. I just let it be there. And I stayed with myself. That was the move. Not removing the tenderness, not building a new identity around softness, just allowing the tender part to exist without turning it into a problem to solve. So let me leave you with this. When something tender shows up for you, do you immediately try to transform it? Or are you willing to let it remain part of your texture without exiling it? You don't need to heal away every tender place. You need to stop mistaking tenderness for weakness. You don't have to earn love to be safe. If this is landing, stay with me.